Who are the untradeable players on Essendon's list? I've got 13 of them, and I'm going to go through them all now in this video. So it's always a bit contentious coming up with these sort of lists, especially this time of the year when the season is over, as it so often is for us. Over the last 20 years, you get to this time of the year and everyone's getting, a bit angry, a bit emotional, wants to sack half the team. So I thought I'd come up with the players on our list who I think we don't trade, who I think we need to keep. So of the 47 players we have on the list now, I've got 34 who are either delistable or tradable. That doesn't mean you delist them all, it doesn't mean you trade them all, but they're players that would be in that conversation. And I've got 12 players who I think we should not trade. Now that doesn't mean, of course, that as the years go by, that list stays the same. As the years go by, some of the players in the do not trade list move into a different list. So who are they? And just before I go into it, these things are always pretty contentious, and I feel I've got a little bit of a responsibility, having a YouTube channel that, people are watching, that I've got to have a considered opinion. I can't sort of go off the rails and be overly impulsive. And my logic is, and I'd like you guys to chime in here and, see if you agree with me, but my logic is that you've got to put yourself in the shoes of the people making the decision at the club. Because as a supporter, we've all had bad takes about Essendon over the years, all of us. Even if we don't admit it, we've all had things that we've got wrong that you'd look back on and think, oh gee, I got that wrong. But you know what the ramifications are for us for being wrong? Is nothing. Nothing happens if we're wrong. Life goes on, we go back and do what we do, and we hope no one noticed our bad take. So absolutely nothing happens if we get something wrong. So we can say whatever we want, we can be impulsive, we can be even irrational, we can be emotional, and at the end of the day, none of it matters because it's not going to affect our lives one bit. But if you're involved at the club and you're making the decision, not only are you making the decision that can affect the life of the player that you're getting rid of, but it affects the person who's making that decision as well. I mean, if the list managers get rid of, for argument's sake, a Reid or a Ridley because they're kind of injury prone and they go on to star at another club, well, that list manager probably won't have a job for much longer. So I'm trying to take the emotion out of it because it's all very emotional when we're being smashed every week at the end of the year, and try to look at this a little more calmly, and I've come up with a list that I think is pretty reasonable. Now, if you do like this channel, by the way, please hit the like and subscribe button. It only takes 1 second to do so. It doesn't cost any money. About 60% of you watching aren't subscribed. So if you could hit the like and subscribe button, please do so. I'd really appreciate it. So I actually did have Jordan Ridley initially in this list. He's not in the list anymore. After the injury on the weekend, it was kind of, I guess, the straw that broke the camel's back. Yes, he's only 26, and if I was to be pushed, I would rather he stay than go. But given his injury history, he's only played 100 games out of a possible 200. I think he's a player that should possibly be considered for trade. It doesn't mean he would be, doesn't necessarily mean he should be, but he is involved in that conversation. Now, in a perfect world, what I would prefer, what I think we should do with someone like Ridley is, look, we've got a new, fitness, manager coming in next year, high performance team, of course, and they, you want them to be able to do their job. That's kind of why we're, making that change. We want them to be able to get to the root of the problem and to try to get on top of some of these injuries. So when you've got one of your best defenders who's in the prime of his career at 26 years old, you really want to see if the new fitness people can make a go of it and actually get him on the field. That's kind of why you're making a change in that area. So yes, I think he should be considered for trade, but if you are actually to ask me yes or no, I would probably err on the side of keeping him. But he's in that batch of players that, the 35 players now that I would say are, potential trade if you get a good offer or so. At number 13, I've got Liam McMahon, and one of the reasons I've got him as a player that we would not look to trade is he's extremely durable. He has played a number of games where he has not been injured at VFL level. He's kicked over 2 goals a game or 2 or more goals a game in over 30 consecutive games at VFL and now AFL level, and he's still young. And he also gives us a point of difference, being the more traditional full forward type that I think can complement the more athletic Nate Caddy. So I see him as part of Essendon's future. I hope he remains on the list. At the moment, I would put him in the no trade category. Who have I got at number 12? Well, number 12, I've got Lewis Hayes. So Lewis Hayes is a young player. He turns 21 in December, so he's a good age. He obviously coming back from a knee reconstruction, very bad knee reconstruction that he did on debut. He had 16 disposals in that match, 3 marks, 2 tackles. I like his size. He was in very, very good VFL form, and he's just the type of body shape and the talent with a good apprenticeship at VFL level that I think can be a key defender for us for a long time. And with his age profile and the position that he plays for, remembering, of course, what might happen to someone like a Jordan Ridley in the coming years, we will want to hold on to Lewis Hayes. I see him as a very important player. I see him at the moment as being an untradeable player. Number 11, I've got Zach Reid. Now, this one might be a little bit contentious, but I've got him in there because basically he's 23 years old. He is younger than Jordan Ridley. People sort of lump Reid and Ridley in together because of their similar positions that they play. But of course, Reid is younger, and he only really played for the first time this year to any great extent, and he played really, really well. In fact, from rounds 2 to round 7, his direct opponent did not score a goal on him. So with his age profile, I would not consider trading him at all at the moment. Now, that doesn't mean that you wouldn't consider trading him as the years go on if their problems tend to persist. But right now, I think I would put him in the list of a player that would not be traded. In fact, halfway through the year, before he got injured again, I sort of looked at him as a potential future captain, hoping he could stay on the field. Now, we'll see how that goes next year with the move to the new high-performance team, if they can get him on the park. Like I said, we don't know, but at the moment, I would definitely put him in the do not trade category. Number 10, I've got Archer May. He's 20 years old. He turns 21 in August this year, August of 2025. At the moment this year, he's averaging 9 disposals, 4 marks, 3 tackles, and 1 and a bit goals a game. And I really like the look of this player. I think he impresses a lot of the people on the footy forums and the YouTube discussion panels all around. You wouldn't get too much controversy with this one, I think. With his immense size, and he's got an amazingly tough physique. He looks like he's going to be a really tough player, able to crash packs. Hasn't shown any injuries yet, touch wood, and he is a player that I think could potentially play for us for the next decade or so, and I just definitely have him in the category of a player that we absolutely want to keep. So Zach Johnson is the youngest player on our list. He's 18 years old as we speak here. I'm narrating this in July 2025, and he turns 19 at the end of the year in December. He's averaging 14 disposals, 4 marks, 2 tackles. He was really tearing it up in the VFL. For those who have been following the VFL this year, he was absolutely one of our best players, averaging mid-20s, even, would have several games in the 30s there. He's a really classy player. He probably hasn't quite, at this stage as an 18-year-old, adapted to senior level AFL, and you wouldn't expect he would either. That's totally understandable given that he's the youngest player on the list, and the youngest player, I think he actually might have been the youngest player taken in the draft. But if you look at his attributes, his speed, his class, the way he uses the ball, he just looks like a natural footballer, and I see him potentially as a 10-year player for us. A lot of people thought he was a steal out of the draft. We'll see. Everyone likes to think everyone likes to think they've got a steal. I don't know about that, but definitely at this stage, I would not be trading Zach Johnson at all. Number 8, I've got Zach Merrett. Now, some of you might actually disagree with this and think that Zach Merrett should be one of the players that we would consider for a trade if you're looking for the future. And I actually understand that point of view, but I definitely think he should stay. So he is 29 as we speak. He turns 30 in October this year. He's averaging 28 disposals, 4 marks, 4 tackles, 4 clearances this year. He's our best player, and he's actually openly stated that he wants to play until his mid-30s. So he's going to play for another 5 or 6 years, and I actually believe him when he says that because his preparation is meticulous, his love for the game and desire to win is absolutely off the chart, and he's our best player. And if our best player is going to play for another 5 years, then absolutely you should keep that player. You don't win premierships by getting rid of your best players, especially when those players still have potentially 100 games left in their careers to play. So unless Zach Merrett himself requested a trade, and I couldn't blame him if he wanted to, he would be on the no trade list for mine. Number 7, Jye Caldwell. Jye Caldwell, you've got to call it as we see it. He does have a little bit of a history of soft tissue injuries, as so many players seem to at Essendon. But he's 24 years old, very young, still got potentially 9 to 10 years left in his career. One of our best players, some would argue our second best player. I would probably say our third or fourth best, but he's a really, really good in and under player. A lot of people have pegged him as a potential future captain. Averages this year 26 disposals, 4 marks, 7 tackles, 5 clearances. To me, he's a player that, you know, you want the fitness staff over the summer to get on top of any issues that he has with his, you know, hamstrings and the like. But he's such a quality player, in and under player, and a tough player as well. He's just a player that I think we can't afford to lose. I've got him at number 7. Number 6, Sam Durham. Sam Durham is 24 years old, just like Jye Caldwell, and he's pretty durable as well. Doesn't seem to get injured, and he's probably the toughest player on our list. I mean, no one would disagree with wanting to keep Sam Durham. Averages 22 disposals, 3 marks, 4 tackles, 5 clearances this year. A great player. We all love Sam, and we hope he's an Essendon player for a long time to come. Number 5, I've got Archie Roberts, who is 19 years old and has been a mainstay in the Essendon team this year, and even a player that's been a bit of a leader for us down there. One of our big possession winners, averages 24 disposals, 6 marks, 2 tackles, and it's amazing how quickly he settled in to be part of the team. When he made his debut last year, I thought, oh yeah, he's got a bit of a future, he looks okay, but I wouldn't have thought that 12 months later he would be such a mainstay in the team, averaging in the mid-20s and just being such a reliable player as well. And we hope that he's with us for the next decade or so. Number 4, I've got Isaac Kako. Now, Isaac Kako has, whilst he hasn't set the world on fire in his first year, one thing I think he has done is exhibit all those traits that were, I suppose, considered to be his weaknesses. We all knew, even before he debuted, that he was a good goal kicker. There was some sort of query is probably the wrong word, but there was a suggestion he needed to work on the defensive side of his game. Well, that's what I've actually been most impressed with this year, is his running and chasing and harassing and all those little things in the forward line. He averages 11 disposals, 2 marks, 2 tackles, and a goal a game. So he's a player that we obviously want to keep. Very young. He's 19 years old as we speak. We hope he's with Essendon for a long time. He's obviously on the no trade list. Number 3, I've got Angus Clark. So of the influx of draftees from the previous season, Angus Clark, to me, might very well be the best of them. I look at him as a potential 200-game player. He plays with a lot of poise. He's also much taller than you think he is. He kicked 3 goals in his first game, of course, against Richmond. He averages 14 disposals, 5 marks, a tackle and a clearance. He's been a little bit quieter, I suppose, in some of the games in recent times, which is probably not surprising given that we've spread ourselves so thin. But he's also just such a versatile player. He can play in a number of different positions, and I see him as a mainstay of the Bomber lineup for the next decade or so. Number 2, I've got Nic Martin. Nic Martin turns 25 in April, so he's 24 currently, and I actually rate him as our second best player. before he did his knee, so unfortunately, I regarded him, and I think most of you would probably agree, as a very durable player as well. He was pretty much always playing, rarely injured. He's one of the few midfielders we've got that can actually play elsewhere other than the midfield. You can put him in the back line, you can play him off half back, you can put him in the forward line, which is where I prefer him because he's a goal kicker, knows how to kick goals, and of course he can play in the midfield. He really is one of those players that can play in any midfield position. Zach Merrett is probably the only other one that I would call, the only other versatile midfielder on our list. I have him as our second best player. Hopefully he can get back from that knee injury and contribute to us in the second half of 2026. I've got him in the untradeable list. Now, number 1, I've got Nic Caddy. Now, Nic Caddy obviously still has a lot of work to do. He still has a bit of work, specifically on what I call his forward craft. I've mentioned in the past that he does tend to run under the ball when he's, flying for marks and that sort of thing. But he's probably the most athletic player on our list, and he's shown glimpses of his potential. And you got to remember, key forwards and big players in general tend to take longer than other players. And yet, even at his young age, he is showing glimpses of what he can be. Using 11 disposals, 4 marks, 1.2 goals a game this year, and he's only 20 years old. So we've obviously pinned the future of our forward line around him, and we've got some other tall forwards that can complement him on our list as well, which does look promising. But he, to me, is a clear number 1 on the untradeable list for now. So what do you guys think of the list? Do you agree with it? Is there anyone else who you would have on the list? I guess if you were asked 100 different people, you'd come up with 100 slightly different answers. Would you have any more than those 13? Or is there any of those 13 that you don't agree with and you think they actually are tradable? So I'm going to leave it at that. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Like and subscribe to this channel. Have a great day, everybody. And as always, go Bombers.